So we want to give you a brief overview of the Allscripts MyWay 9.0 desktop screen. This is the front screen you'll see when you first pull up the program. So we'll just run through the screen itself, starting from the top left hand corner down. Of course, you have menus. Everything is based off a left click, so it's compatible with tablet PCs, with a laptop PC. It's compatible with different types of computers depending on what you have in your office. As we click here on where it says desktop, as you can see, it drops down several different options for me. I can bring up the scheduling, the report section, the message center, lab interface. There's lots of choices here on this first section. Going over to tools, these are certain tools that we may access throughout the day. And then of course those who work in conjunction with the billing, there's lots of options here. And of course if we get a call in from a patient, we want to set up a new appointment, or we want to set up a new patient, we can do all that here, as well as enter in any messages that we want to pull up for someone else in the office. And of course there's a good old help screen that we're used to in most Windows based products. We are expecting a help screen, and then of course you can bring up any help issues that you have there. So that's the top part. Now this section just below that, it has several icons here, and as you drag across these icons, you see that there are labels to remind you of what those icons mean, and depending on what your job function is within the practice, you'll probably be using some of these more than others. Also, as you go down to the screen, this section of the screen is fully customizable depending on needs and depending on the user. Each user can have their own screen, their own color scheme, the areas where, for instance, the message center appears. You can move that around. You can move it over to the left, whatever the preference of the user is. As you see here, we're in the calendar section for Dr. N's. You can pull up multiple people in this section, so if you want to have a calendar for several doctors listed, you can. Just below that are the visits for the day for this particular doctor, Dr. N's. You notice here it has a place for the time of the appointment. If you click on that, you can edit the appointment right on the fly. Just below it, it tells you the status of the appointment. Next to that, you got the name. If you click on the name, that brings up the patient's demographics. Just to the right of that, you have some basic demographic information, as well as a couple of icons here that you can use to open up the chart note, and of course other options you have here as well. Just below the patient's name, it shows the reason why they're coming in for the day. Very self-explanatory, very easy. Over to the right hand side, we have the message center. And so this message center is to include all these things listed here: phone messages, refill requests, labs, procedure tasks. So they're all listed out here. I can click on either one of these and bring up this full listing. Over to the right, it gives me a count as to how much of each of these items I have. It also lets me know which ones are urgent, abnormal, and of course which are routine. Just below that, we have the notes section. So if there's any handoffs, let's say from the medical assistant or from the RN, or perhaps in some cases the nurse practitioner, their handoffs to the doctor, well, they may have these already ready for the doctor, ready for that doctor to complete from this section. Or perhaps the doctor has finished seeing the patient, but there's some additional things the doctor wants to make changes on. So he wants to come back, he or she wants to come back maybe at the end of the day and finish up those notes. That's where this section will come into play. And so just by clicking on any one of these dates here, that will directly open up the note. If they click on where it has the patient's name, it will view the patient from the demographic standpoint. And then of course there's several other options if they click on the little plus sign. So that's an overall review of the main desktop on the Allscripts MyWay 9.0.